Hello everyone and welcome back to RybrookTV and to this, the first of what I hope will be many living with videos that we're going to do for the channel that myself and Matt are hopefully going to be having the opportunity to create over the coming weeks. The car of choice for myself is this, the Volvo XC60. This particular one is a Polestar edition. I have this thanks to the guys over at Volvo UK. We've borrowed the car from them and we've just finished filming a full feature video for this car, which is hopefully now out on the channel. If it is, there'll be a pop-out banner at the top of the screen now where you can go and actually watch that. But for now, stay with us whilst we explore this car. I'm going to show you around it now, and the rest of this video I'm going to show you what it's like to live with. I've got it for just over a week. I'm going to be using it as my only car, and whilst I've got it, I'm going to be filming bits of content, showing you around the car, showing you some of my favourite features of it, and basically just getting to know it and explaining to you guys what I think makes this such a fantastic everyday family SUV. So to start with, like I say, I've had it for a couple of hours now. I've got it absolutely filthy driving it around Wales, so I'm going to show you around the car now, show you some of the specs on this particular car, and then if you keep watching I'll show you what it's like to live with a Volvo XC60. So here she is then, Volvo XC60 Polestar Engineered in black. As you can see, Matt and I have been out filming with it all morning. We've got plenty of footage of the car, but as a result we have got it absolutely filthy. We've been filming in a lovely location, which I'm going to cut some B-roll into now of the shoot we've done. It's a lovely location in the middle of Wales, and we've been putting the car off-road and on-road, and as you can see, it's absolutely filthy, but I think it looks fantastic as a result of that. I think it just looks really well used, and well, I think it suits being all dirty and grubby. It's nice to see it like this rather than having something pristine and clean. So let me just introduce you to the car then. Polestar Engineered. It is a plug-in hybrid, 2-litre turbocharged and supercharged engine with an electric motor. It's 4-wheel drive. It has 415 brake horsepower, and it's not exactly a fast car by today's standards. There are much faster performance SUVs out there, but it's no slouch by the very same note. It's actually a very nice drive, and I'll show you just about that. I'll show you how it drives shortly. I'll take it out for a quick spin and show you what it's like. I've done around 55 miles in it so far today, around the country lanes and stuff like that of Wales, not too far from where I live. And I've got to say, I say this about a lot of cars really, but I think I actually mean it quite a lot with this one. It's a brilliant all-rounder, and it is, if I was in the market for a Volvo, I'd be hard pushed not to convince myself to get a Polestar Engineered, because it is a brilliant all-rounder. So this particular car, specs on this one, we've got the 22-inch alloy wheels on here. As you can see, they're an option. It should have 20s on it, but you can option the 22-inch. It's also got the silver side steps, or at least they were silver before I caked them in mud. Around the rear, the identifying marks on this particular car to show you it's a Polestar Engineered are the black chrome exhaust tips and the little Polestar Engineered denomination there under the lights. That indicates that this is a Polestar Engineered. Other than that, it is, well, it's an XC60. As you can see, it's a very practical car. I've got all my camera gear in the boot. There it all is, look. A nicely loaded up full boot. Plenty of space in there for all of my camera gear and my lunch and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, really practical load space in that car. It's not something where I was fearing not getting all my equipment in. Would you believe I actually carry all this gear around with me to all my shoots in a Mini? So that just goes to testament, doesn't it, to show how good the Mini's boot space is actually as well. Whereas on the XC60 it fits absolutely no problem. In the Mini there does have to be a little bit of Tetris to be played with the car. But yeah, impressive load space in this particular example. If we take a look inside the car, it's all typical Volvo in here. So high quality interior, really nice place to sit and be. Lots of nice high quality touch points and stuff on the inside of this car. It is a lovely car. And then I bang on around this in all my reviews. I've actually done the same in this review I've just filmed of this car. These seats are magnificent. They really are some of my favourite seats in any car. Volvo really know how to build a comfortable seat. And because this is a Polestar Engineered, we've also got the gold seat belt. So yeah, there you go, a really quick introduction to the Polestar Engineered. So I'm going to leave you with some B-roll of the car. You get to have a look around it, and I'm going to go and get on with the rest of my day, film the end of this video I've got, and then join me again when I put it through its paces as my everyday only car. So I've just now ticked over 125 miles in the car since I picked it up. I've only had it for the day, but I've got to say I am extremely impressed with the Volvo XC60. This is a brilliant all-rounder. I've driven a lot of SUVs in this size category, but the Volvo XC60 just seems to have something about it that has really grown on me. It's the sort of car that I really do gel well with. It's, as I've already shown you at the start of this video, it's extremely practical. It's a very stylish car. This particular one in the Polestar Engineered trim is tremendous. I'm currently on the A55 cruising back home at 60 miles an hour, and it's very comfortable, very refined, very quiet. I feel safe, I feel at ease with the car. I love the digital display, I love the sat-nav, I love the heads-up display. There's just a lot to like about Volvos. So yeah, my first impressions are, this is a cracking bit of kit. It really is a good car. But as the week goes on, I'm sure I'll find things about it that bug me and irritate me. But by the very same notion, I'm sure there'll be a lot of things about it that I like, and a lot of things that will outweigh those bugbears. What I will say is I've just finished filming, between the start of this video and now, I've just finished filming the driving segment of this video, the main feature video, sorry. So putting this car, well, through its paces basically, taking it out and trying out the different driving modes and seeing how it handles and performs. And I've got to admit that the Polestar Engineered, this thing is tremendous, absolutely tremendous. It's not the quickest car ever manufactured, it really isn't. I've driven faster performance SUVs, and I've driven faster cars which are actually cheaper to buy than the Polestar Engineered version of the XC60. But as an overall package, as something that you can use every single day, this is a car that is very difficult to beat. It handles phenomenally well. It stops as well as it corners. It corners so flat that you forget you're driving such a large SUV. And as I say, it's not blisteringly quick, but the performance it does have, and the way that it pulls you through the corners, that mid-range torque and power delivery, it's a very potent package. One of its best characteristics, I think, is the suspension. That is one of its main party tricks. The fact that they're fully adjustable is a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that I really like. It's a gimmick that I can fully get into. Having them set in the factory standard spec is probably where 99.9% of all owners of the Volvo XC60 Polestar will leave their suspension, but people like me might find us slowly but surely turning them up a little bit, to the point where there is a little bit of compromise in the comfort, but the handling just gets sharper and sharper. Yeah, it's a brilliant bit of kit, and it's very quiet as well. I mean, I'm pottering along now and I feel, as I say, really comfortable and at ease with the car. It's a nice place to be. When I get home, I'm going to have to jet wash it off, clean it all down, because I have got another shoot with this car tomorrow. We're doing photographs and stuff in a local barn, getting some nice kind of moody shots of the car. So we're going to get it nice and clean. So I'll get back, I'll get that done, and I'll pick up the camera tomorrow, and we'll get some first impressions from the rest of the guys, see what they think of the Volvo. I'll give them the keys, get them to go out with it, get them to have a drive, and get them to tell me their first impressions of the Volvo XC60 Polestar. So yeah, see you tomorrow. Morning everyone, day 2 with the Volvo XC60. One thing I totally forgot to mention last night when getting back and giving the car a quick wash before today's photo shoot was the fact that this is actually the PHEV, isn't it? So it's the electric version. So yeah, I expected it to be easy to charge, but it was extremely easy to charge. So if you're charging one of these, you have two options. You can either get a wall plug installed in your house and use one of the dedicated charger cables. Alternatively, I don't have that. I've just got a 3-pin plug on the driveway for the pressure washer. So you can use the cable that comes with the car for that as well. So you just put the 3-pin plug in. It's like charging your phone. Bang that in the wall, put the other end in the car, and it's straight away charging up. I did expect it to be quite a long process to charge it, but I was actually pleasantly surprised. Full electric cars tend to take around 8 hours or so to charge from completely flat. This I plugged in around 8 o'clock, somewhere around 8 o'clock-ish, and it was saying it would be fully charged somewhere just after 10. So it only took 2 hours to charge it. When fully charged, the batteries will be able to provide you with a full 30 miles worth of range, which I'm going to put to the test now. I'm going to drive over to Warrington. It's about 33 miles. So I'm going to see how far I can get on just pure electric before it switches over to the petrol engine. So yeah, we'll crack on with that now. We'll head over. Okay, so I got here, used pure electric the whole way here. When I got in the car, it was showing 25 miles of range on the dash for the electric battery. The journey was 24 miles, and when I got here, lo and behold, I actually had 2 miles of range left on the battery, which is brilliant. I've plugged it back in again now, and it should take roughly about 2.5 hours to charge back up from flat, which is going to be plenty for the rest of the afternoon. And as you can see, we're on location for the photo shoot, which is this big old barn. So I'm going to jump in now. We've got Matt with me as well. I'm going to jump back this way, and we're going to get Matt to kind of hold up around the car and give us his first impressions. All right then, Matt.
Hi, mate.
How you doing?
Living the dream.
Photos are all done for the cars for the day, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought for this whole living with video, I thought I'd get you on camera and take your first impressions of the XC60 Polestar. You saw it yesterday. We were out filming it yesterday, weren't we? But so yeah.
I think it looks ace. I'm a real fan of that. I think it's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realise. We love Volvos.
Yeah.
Like, they've got such a bad reputation, don't they? Like, they think, oh, it's such an old person car. It's just, oh, it's not. Look at this. Look at it. It's insane. Hey, bud. I mean, it's a Volvo with the biggest brakes I've ever seen on anything. Madness.
So you took it out for a bit of a drive yesterday as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what was your initial reaction on the drive?
It's so much better than you'd ever imagine it to be. Like, you get in, we've driven so many Volvos, pretty much every single Volvo in the range, and this just drives differently to all of them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like another step up. It doesn't really, it feels like a Volvo, but it doesn't feel like a Volvo.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like how you'd expect a Volvo to feel, does it?
No,
It
that's,
feels,
I kind of tried to get that across in the review myself as well.
Yeah.
The suspension itself is a bit of a gimmick, isn't it, with the adjustability?
Yeah.
No one's ever going to use that
No.
on this particular model, but with this being the Polestar Engineered, it does handle a lot flatter in the corners and stuff. It does feel a little bit more planted on the road than the rest of the lineup.
What you get with this as well is exclusivity.
Yeah.
You're very, very unlikely to see another one of these on the road.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what market does this sit in? Like, what is it, X3, M40i, the big engine stuff? They're so rare. I've never seen one before.
Well, it's funny you said that, because the day I picked it up, the day before I picked it up, sorry, I did say to you, didn't I?
Yeah.
I've not seen one in absolutely ages, and then I saw two. I saw two on the road that same day.
And now you're in one.
Yeah, now I'm in one. I've not seen another one since.
Wheels are mega, aren't they?
Yeah. I think it's a great looking car, and it's everything XC60 as well. You don't have to have the Polestar Engineered. This, again, I'm driving it, and I'm having it in hybrid everyday mode rather than performance Polestar mode, and it feels exactly like an XC60.
Which is a great car. We've done quite a few stuff with XC60s in the past. I've reviewed one, and I think they're brilliant cars.
Yeah.
Volvo, massively overlooked in my opinion, especially this thing.
Yeah.
It's a real sleeper, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great looking bit of kit, I think. All right, what are you driving? Should we go and have a look what you've got?
Yeah. Outside, have a look at this. So yeah, this is what I'm smoking around in 2 days. A little bit different. Bentley Flying Spur VX. Now, we've actually filmed this car a few times. We did the multi-brand SUV, Saloons, which was here, and also Emily shot this car really early on. It was April of this year. Did a full review of it. So if you want to see what me and Jack both think, I'm doing a living with video with this as well. So if you want to see what we both think of this car, please go and check out that video. We'll film that bit now, shall we?
Yeah, I think I jump in front of the camera, you get behind it, and we'll film that bit, yeah? Okay, so that was Matt's first impression of the Volvo. We've done all the photos for the afternoon. I've had a look around his Bentley, and that is a real piece of kit. So again, if you want to watch that video, make sure you click the pop-up banner at the top of the screen. Okay, at this point we're midway through day 2 with the Volvo XC60, and so far it's been absolutely fine. I've had it plugged in, like I say, I had it plugged in for about 10-15 minutes at Beck's house there, and I gave it a few extra miles on the battery, but there's a couple of little things that I do want to show you in this car which are quite nifty. So having it plugged in for that 10-15 minutes gave it about 3-4 miles worth of charge on the battery, because we were plugging it in via a very long extension lead on a 3-pin plug, which was reducing the amount of battery it was actually getting in there, so much so that I wasn't actually getting a reading on the dash to tell me how long it was actually going to take to charge up. So what I've done, I've driven over to our main site in Warrington, because it's only about 15-20 minutes from where we were doing the photos this morning, so our main dealership in Warrington. And in the satellite navigation, I'll show you this, spin it around in a sec, in the infotainment systems you can go into the settings and you can actually set it to charge the battery from the petrol engine. So I set the speed limiter, I put in the traffic sign recognition, which then sets the speed limit to the roads you're on, which means that I'm not unnecessarily using any battery with it being the hybrid system. I set it into hybrid everyday mode, and I set it to charge the battery using the petrol engine, and as a result of that I've now got 7 miles worth of battery range. When I left Beck's I had 2.5, which, you know, is brilliant. So I'm going to use that on the way home and see how much charge I get on the 25-mile journey back to my house this afternoon. So I'm going to set it all up to do that again, drive home as economically as I can, and see just how the car performs at charging its own battery, and see how that affects the MPG and the petrol range of the car as well. Okay, so there we go, end of day 2. I'm back home. As I said before, I've made sure that I set all the settings to make sure that the petrol engine was going to charge the battery for the journey back. I was going to give that a test, and by doing so I've actually managed to add 8 miles back to the battery's range, which is pretty good. Gives me just under half a full charge on the battery, so I'm going to plug it in again overnight, make sure it's fully charged for the morning. But what you're probably interested in is how has that affected the MPG. Well, I've actually managed to get low 30s, which isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's also not terrible by the very same notion. Obviously, when the batteries are charged and you're using the proper hybrid system, and rather than just using the petrol engine, you are meant to be getting over 120 miles per gallon. So we'll give that a proper test tomorrow, and I'll report back. Okay, so join us again for day 3 later on. Okay, so it's day 3 with the XC60. It's the weekend, so I'm going to go about doing some family activities. We're going out to a pumpkin patch today, Halloween in a couple of weeks. So going out to pumpkin patch today with my son and my wife. Go out for a dog walk later on, and I've got to do some food shopping and stuff, just normal mundane weekend stuff. I won't bore you with too much of the details, but I will slice in some B-roll and do some voiceovers of how I found the car, with some imagery and video and stuff of how I've gone about using it over the next couple of days over the weekend, and just how I found it practicality wise. So the first thing I want to mention at this point is the rear seat access. Getting my son's car seat and the ISOFIX unit in was really easy, and because of the high up stance of the car, with it being an SUV, I found getting him in and out of the car a lot easier than I do with my own hatchbacks. And obviously, because of that huge boot, it made getting the pram and all his bags in really, really easy. As far as comfort goes, the Volvo XC60 is up there with the very best premium brands. My wife, son, and even the dog approved of the ride quality over to the pumpkin patch and to the dog walk later that afternoon. Hi guys, welcome back. So that's the weekend over and done with. It's now Monday morning. I've just done the commute into work, and I wanted to show you how the car has done range-wise real world. So as I mentioned, WLTP cycle figures for this car show over 120 miles to the gallon, as long as it's fully charged and you're driving it economically. I've been using this car a bit of a mixed bag. It's been in hybrid mode, it's been used in full electric mode on a few occasions. We've also done a filming in it, and we've obviously had it in Polestar mode and all-wheel drive mode. I've driven it in this morning with absolutely no charge on the car at all. So it was just using the petrol engine, and I'll just let you know that I've done 298 miles since picking the car up, and I've averaged in that time 65.4 miles to the gallon, which I think is really good going. Remember, the WLTP cycle figures on this car are 123 miles to the gallon or something like that, which is, you know, perfect conditions with a fully charged battery, constant use on electric basically, which I've not been doing. I've been using this car in all sorts of different modes, again using the charge functionality to be able to use the petrol engine to charge the battery, plugging it in myself, running it without battery like I've done this morning. So I really don't think 65.4 miles to the gallon is too shabby at all. It's a very well, it's high MPG. It's better than I get on my own car. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that. Anyway, that's an MPG test done. Carry on watching and I'll see what other tests we can put the car through. Hi guys, so I just wanted to put a finer point on the MPG test. I've had the car now for a few days. I've driven down to our Rybrook Specialist Car Centre in Birmingham, which is here. It's a great site, and there are some really tasty cars in there. The reason I'm down here today is for the Lotus Emira unveiling, so I'm going to chop some b-roll of that in a moment. But yeah, it's a great looking bit of kit, by the way, the Lotus Emira. But back to the Volvo XC60. So yeah, final point on the MPG test. I have driven it all the way down to Birmingham today from Chester. I've managed to clock up about 300 odd miles since I've had the car, and I have averaged, as I mentioned earlier, about 65 miles to the gallon. Overall, the car has been absolutely terrific. Now, next time you see this car, it's going to be the day that I'm doing a film with Matt comparing it to the Land Rover Velar P400e, which is probably its nearest competition, both in price point and quality and luxury fit. So that's going to be a really interesting day, taking the car, putting it up head to head against that car. And I will probably finish this video and round it off by introducing you to the 5 favourite things that I've had, my 5 favourite things, sorry, about the Volvo XC60. And also I'll show you a couple of things that I've learnt to live with, should we say, whilst having the car for the period of time I've had it. It has been absolutely terrific. If you are considering a Volvo, then the Volvo XC60 is probably a great starting point, because the whole lineup is terrific. But yeah, this has been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, join us for the 5 favourite things, and I'll just quickly run inside and I'll show you the all-new Lotus Emira. Okay, so that's a complete wrap with the Volvo. I've had it for just over a week now. We've just finished filming a comparison between the Volvo and the Velar. Matt's just getting the video footage off the memory cards and getting ready to go back home. But I did say last time you saw me that we would be looking at my 5 favourite things about the XC60. So I'm going to take this opportunity whilst we're finishing off to show you around those key points. And I was also going to show you a few little things that I've learned about the car that you kind of have to live with, should I say. So first of all, let's just jump straight in and I'll show you some of my 5 favourite things about the Volvo XC60. So number 1 has got to be the looks. I mean, it's a great looking car from every single angle, and it really helps that this car is the Polestar Engineered with those 22-inch alloy wheels. But even without them, if you get the R design or the inscription, they just look phenomenal. I think it's a great looking piece of design. So number 2 is this box up here, this IntelliSafe system, and all the stuff that comes off the side of it, all the auxiliary features and stuff that come with IntelliSafe. So this is like Volvo's safety mechanisms and safety features. If you look down here on the infotainment screen, there's like a whole range of kind of bits and bobs on here that all link into it. There's things like your blind spot indicators, your bliss here, curve speed assist, speed assist, and like your road sign recognition, all these different things down here. They make driving this car unbelievably easy. And for a car of its size, if you're not confident driving large vehicles, all of this stuff makes it extremely easy and user friendly, especially when you go into things like the cameras. For example, if we go on here, look, you get this lovely 360 camera. It's all black there because I've got the door open at the moment, but you get this lovely kind of 360 view, which helps you do turns in the road and multi-story car park parking, and make sure you don't curb all your wheels, and you can jump in and out of the different cameras, so you get a better view of certain areas. It's a really, really good little system, and it's very, very user friendly. The third feature on the car that I like the most is these headlights. So they're known as Thor's Hammer. We've mentioned that a few times in the videos, which is an incredibly cool name, but it's also the fact that they're adaptive full LEDs, which means that when you turn corners, they turn with you to help you kind of get better visibility in the corners. You can also get now pixel style LEDs as well, which turn off to stop blinding oncoming traffic, but I believe these are just the full LED system, which are incredibly bright and very good for nighttime visibility. Plus they look really, really cool when they're all illuminated. Fourth, we've got the comfort access boot, which means if I get close enough to the car and wave my foot under here a couple of times, the car will recognise that and pop it open, which is great for when you've got your hands full. It's a really handy little feature. And that leads me on to the other area as well, which is the boot itself, which is really, really spacious, really, really good. I'm not very organised with it. All my gear's just thrown in willy-nilly. But yeah, it's a really usable, large boot space. Even though this is a hybrid, it does suffer a little bit from having the batteries underneath it, or the electric gubbins goes underneath. If you get the non-plug-in hybrid vehicle, you get a little bit more boot space, but to be honest, you're not really losing much because it's such a big usable space. And there's also that handy underfloor storage, which I would show you, but I've got loads of stuff in there. It's just you lift this flap here and it'll lift up underneath, and there's like a handy little hatch under there for smaller items, which stops them rolling around and banging around in the boot. There's also in here, it's a really good boot space, there's also this little netted area on the side here for smaller items as well, and there's also a 12-volt charger in there, which means you can kind of sit in the back here and charge your phone and use it as a seating area if you're sat out looking at some wonderful views like I've been doing today. Look at that, incredible location. Also, the boot doesn't just open electronically. You have these two buttons up the top here. If you push this one, it'll just shut the boot. If you push that one, it'll shut the boot and lock the car as well, which is really nifty for if you're just grabbing a couple of things out of the boot and you want to get on with your day. Shut the car, there you go, it'll lock itself, which is really nifty. And number 5 is actually the key. I really like the key and the tactileness of the whole thing. It's kind of nice. It's this leather wrapped and silver tactile little key. All the buttons are on the side there, so you've got your lock, your unlock and your boot, and then on the other side you've got like a panic button which will set the hazards off and honk the horn, which is really nifty. And because this car's keyless, you can just leave this in your pocket and enter in and out, but they're not all keyless, you just use the switch on the side. And then if you flick that little black tab there, there's actually a proper key on the inside of it which you can use to lock and unlock it should you ever need to, if you leave it parked for an extended period of time and the battery dies or anything. But yeah, I just love the feel and look of the key. It's one of those kind of nifty little tactile things. It's the little things, isn't it, that make a car stand out. I think that's really nifty. And number 6, I know I said 5 favourite things, but there's a 6th one that I need to mention, and that is more specific to the fact this is a Polestar Engineered rather than just an XC60. And it's this setup here, this Öhlins dampers on the top, just there, and then these massive gold brake calipers. It's these details here that make the Polestar Engineered so special. It's little things. You kind of think, well, surely just a set of suspension and brakes can't transform a car that much, but I'm telling you, it really does. The standard XC60R design is a fantastic car. It gets all the kind of tech and benefits and stuff that I love about this particular model, but this just sharpens it up slightly. It gives it that extra edge for the handling. The R design handles really well. This just takes it to a level of performance orientated handling that you kind of want from your fast Volvos. It stops on a dime with those brakes, and you know, it handles, I've said it before, it handles so flat and corners so well with those dampers. And the best thing about them is that they're fully adjustable, so if you are more inclined to want something more comfortable, you live somewhere where the roads are a little bit more rutted and bouncy, you can soften them off, which I think is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, that's not to say that the rest of the XC60 lineup isn't that good. It is, it really is. The inscriptions, they drive so well. They're more along the lines of Range Rover style driving. They're much softer, much more wafty, great motorway miles munchers. The R design has got a handling edge over the inscription, but this just turns it up another notch. yeah, it's a superb bit of kit, and I had to make mention of those parts because it wouldn't be a fair review of a Polestar Engineered if I didn't mention the bits that make it a Polestar Engineered. And finally, it wouldn't be a fair car review, would it, if I didn't point out a few things that kind of, well, I just learned to accept and live with the Volvo XC60. The first one I'm going to show you is down to the fact that I kept getting my trousers dirty, getting my son in and out of the car, and I'm going to show you why now. So you'll notice here that inside the rear doors, after that day where we went out and did the off-road film, and the first day that I picked this car up, we caked it in mud, and it just seems to have collected all on the inside of the door cards. Now, I've washed this car a couple of times, so I've obviously missed this bit, but it just forces dirt between the door seals. It doesn't get into the car. It's just one of those things that every time I've kind of got out the car, I forgot that's there, and I've backed out when I've put my son in the back seats, and I've got mud all up my trousers. Again, not a major problem. Most people won't be taking this thing off-road. But when you do, just remember to clean inside there. The second point is back inside the boot. So we've got this shelf here, look, the parcel shelf, which is really good. It's handy, it pulls in and out as you'd expect. You can pull it back, look, and it collapses all the way back there, so you've got nice, easy access. And when you want to hide all your camera gear or your expensive equipment you've got in the boot, you can lock it back in, which is really nifty. But then there's this strange position that I don't understand why it has it. We can lift it up, and it goes to the top, and it sits up there. And then when it's up there, you can't see out the rear view mirror. You have this tiny gap here to be able to see out of. So you've got this massive SUV with the most ridiculous amount of visibility out the back. It's really, really frustrating. And there's no way of lowering that from inside the cabin. You have to get back out the car and pull it back down. You'd think that there should be a way that that can be automatically retracted or anything from inside the dash. And when you've got yourself all sat in there and you realise you've left it up, you should be able to lower it again. But you know, again, not a major problem, just something that I have learned to live with. And the final one, and this is something that most Volvo reviews will flag up, is this infotainment system. When you know how it all works, it's terrific. And it's really, really simple. It's a really nice crisp clear display. You've got your map at the top there, look, which will load in. Your radio stations and your Bluetooth settings, and you get your telephone and all that sort of stuff. And it's all kind of hotkeyed at the front, which is really, really handy. You've got this big home button at the bottom to kind of get through the main points that you need for when you're driving. And when you swipe across, we've got all the extra kind of, you know, battery charging settings and all your heads-up display and safety features and stuff like that, which is really good. And you can even fold the rear headrest down from that, which is really, really nifty. I love that feature. You press that and back to your headrest will flop down, which I've just pressed, and they're both down now, look. So you get even better visibility of that awesome view behind us, which is terrific. So yeah, I love the system when you know where it all is, but some things in the system are very, very buried and quite annoying. So with this being a UK press car, some absolute joker decided to turn on all of the traffic announcements, which meant every 10 minutes I would be driving along and I get this huge thumping news bulletin and tell me there was a car accident somewhere in London, despite me being all the way up north and it not being completely relevant to me. It was extremely annoying, and it took me a long time to try and find out how to turn it all off, and I did have to read the manual, which I can't stand doing. I don't know about other people. When I get the cars, I'm not someone that likes to dip into the owner's manual. I like to just kind of learn by doing. And it was a bit of a nightmare. I had to kind of swipe down from the top, go into settings, and then you thought it'd be somewhere in navigation or sound or media, and you go into media. It's not instantly obvious, especially if you're driving. You don't want to be dipping into stuff and then it's into DAB, select announcements. You can turn it off from in there. And once you've turned it off on DAB, you also have to turn it off on the FM radio as well. Otherwise it still comes through, even if you've got DAB on, it just comes on with a lower quality. So yeah, it's things like that that bugged me about it. But again, once you've read the manual and you understand it, this is more of a problem with me rather than the car. Once you've read the manual and you understand where everything is, it's a really simple, easy system to use. And like I say, you've got the hotkeys. The most important bits are all there at the front. Swipe over, you've got access to all your systems there. It is very, very simple. You've got your home button to be able to jump back to the home screen. And like I say, drag down from the top for your settings. The owner's manual is actually inside the infotainment screen as well. So again, not a major problem. All things that I've just learned to live with. And I wouldn't say there were problems. I'd more say there were like nuances with the brand, and things that you kind of get used to once you've driven it for a long while. And not a single one of them would put me off owning a Volvo. So there we have it then, a Volvo XC60 living with video. If you want to see more of this kind of content on the channel, please leave a comment and like the video and put a comment below and let us know what kind of cars you want to see myself and Matt living with for a little bit of time. Yeah, I've really enjoyed my time with this car. I'm going to head back up to Chester now and drop this car back in. I'm going to be sad to see it leave, but I will be on to the phone to the guys at Volvo UK to see what else I can grab from those guys and do again another living with video for definite. I know there's another 2 Polestars that we can get our hands on, the V60 and the S60, so keep an eye out for content around those 2 cars, which hopefully we'll get sorted and arrange with those guys to get our hands on them and get something shot. But yeah, in the meantime, please like the channel, subscribe, hit the bell icon to make sure you don't miss any videos that we have to upload in the future. And in the meantime, I'm going to leave you with a couple of nice shots of the car and the awesome view of the location we've been shooting at today. And again, thank you very much for taking the time to watch. And if you want to find out more about the Volvo XC60, please feel free to contact our guys at Rybrook. Use the links in the description below to contact our retailers, and I'm sure the guys there will be very happy to help sort you out with a new car. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Cheers. Bye bye.